Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel and to some more turkey patterning, and today we've got another combo of shell, choke, and shotgun that I'm really excited to test because I think there's a potential that it gives us a really nice performance. We've seen a couple really nice patterns from these shells previously, but we haven't tried them through today's choke, so we'll see what it gives us. But as for the shells I got today, I brought out some more of the Rocky Ridge TSS loads, but these ones are their 28 gauge, 2 3/4 inch, 1 5/8 ounce payload of TSS 9s, moving about 1,050 feet per second. Like I just mentioned, we know these are some good performing shells, but how are they going to perform through today's choke? So as for today's setup, I brought out my Tristar Viper 28 gauge. It's relatively new to me and the channel, but it's shown us some really nice patterns here recently, so we know it's a good performer. But the choke we've got is a Trulock TSS Turkey 515 constriction. We've tested it a couple times with some solid results, but I don't think we found the perfect shell for it just yet. So who knows, maybe these Rocky Ridge shells are really gonna shoot lights out through this combo. I don't know, we'll see what we get. But as for today's test, everything is set up the same as usual. The turkey target's at 40 yards, and I've got the chronograph so we can get our velocity from the shell. So let's get you guys a view of that target and see what kind of a pattern we can get out of these Rocky Ridge 9s through that Trulock 515. Should look pretty good, but we don't know until we try it, so let's take our shot and see what it gives us. Alright, so that shell gave us 1101 through the chrono. The boss claim is 1050, so we were a little bit above that. And I will say these are a very hot shell for a 28 gauge load. They are coming up close to 20 gauge recoil most of the time. So it's not going to break your shoulder or anything, but yeah, they're definitely a pretty hot shell for what they are. But the velocity looks good, so how does our pattern actually look? Alright, so now we're down here at our 40-yard paper, and yeah, we absolutely have a dead turkey there all day long. I mean, he is absolutely covered in pellets, so I would call that pretty impressive. I mean, that is a nasty swarm of pellets right there. So yep, once again, these Rocky Ridge shells are some great performers, no doubt about it. So moving in and looking at our core, obviously we can see that we have a ton of pellets within there, and it's beautifully even right around that bird's neck right there. There is no voids in there to worry about at all until you get all the way to the outskirt edges of the turkey paper up there at the top, so nothing to be concerned with there. That is a great hunting pattern. It's a nice even spread. It's a hot core without being super baseball tight either, so I really like that. Around the edges we might have a couple of little flyers and stuff to deal with, but it's nothing too detrimental to the pattern. Maybe over here towards the left we might have 1 or 2 little voids right along the edge of the turkey target there, but nothing major. Once again, I would call that about the perfect hunting pattern. You've got a lot of pellets through that 10-inch circle area right through your core, but it gives you a little more breathing room to work with. It's not quite as baseball tight as what we have seen a couple times recently from that 28. So really, that might be pretty close to the perfect pattern for a 28 gauge. Yep, we've seen tighter, we've seen more open, but I really like how that performed. It seems like these Rocky Ridge shells like that 515 constriction, and I think that Trulock was able to handle them pretty well for being a shell that's a little bit on the hotter side for a 28 gauge. So I think that pattern kind of speaks for itself. There's really not a whole lot to complain about at all. I really like how even that core is, and you really don't have a bunch of issues to deal with either. I wouldn't hesitate to turkey hunt with that combination any day of the week, because that's a pattern you could absolutely take out to 45 and probably 50 yards as well. If some of you guys are field hunters, or maybe you guys that hunt mixed ag land where you could take a 25-yard shot or a 45-yard shot and you want to run a 28, that right there is going to be more than capable of getting it done for you. So definitely looking good today. Not a whole lot to complain about on that one. Definitely a pretty nice looking pattern. And here's the wad from that shell. Very standard stuff, nothing fancy. There's nothing stuck down in there or no major damage or anything. Looks perfectly fine, and I think it did its job perfectly fine as well. So nothing too special to see here. Alright y'all, well, what do you think about that pattern right there? I'd call it pretty impressive. That would be absolutely devastating on a turkey at 40 yards. There's not going to be one that ever makes it through that kind of a pattern. So for a 28 gauge, I've been super impressed with how that Tristar's performed so far. It's given us just countless really nice results, especially now that I'm kind of getting a few more rounds through it. I'm figuring out where it's actually hitting as far as my point of aim goes and stuff like that. We're figuring things out, and I would say those Rocky Ridge 9s with that Trulock 515 is a pretty nasty combo. That might be pretty close to the perfect 28 gauge hunting pattern. It's not overly screaming tight, but it's not too broad or all over the place or has a bunch of voids or strings or anything like that in it. You've got a beautiful even core, and I wouldn't hesitate in the slightest to take that out out on a turkey hunt. So I would say definitely pretty impressive for today. But leave all your thoughts in the comments. Is that about what you expected to see? Were you a little surprised one way or the other? Have you tested any of these Rocky Ridge 28 gauge shells? And if so, what kind of results have you seen from them? Is that a pattern you would hunt with? Or is it too tight for you or too open for you or anything like that? And what other shells or choke combos do you want to see with either those Rocky Ridge loads or that Trulock 515? Let me know all that down below. But with that being said, I've got some more testing to get done for you guys, so I'm going to get back to it. As always, we have the channel Instagram as well as the mailbox where you can send stuff if you'd like. All that information will be in the description if you're interested in it, but I'm going to get back to it, so I'll see y'all in the next one.